Oh, I just received my pre-order. I'm literally gonna drop everything that I'm reading at the moment and read this straight away. Okay, I'm on page 30 and I have thoughts. So I've already popped a couple of tabs on. These little like lines that are under each of the titles, I keep thinking of hairs, so I keep like going like this. I love that the title that says the small print is in a small print. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there. And just the general layout of this book is beautiful. Right, so I'm up to part 1 and I have come across something that I don't particularly like. It's only a slight thing and it is because of my own background. But here, I'm going to find the specific quote. So Dan's explaining that like you might feel embarrassed about your mental health, but you could also feel embarrassed about your physical health. And it says, even if the physical problem is embarrassing, let's go with scandalously sexual. A shocking number of people would probably rather admit they had chlamydia or chronic constipation than depression. I mean, I would personally consider that oversharing, but the point is mental health has a stigma around it. And of course, he's 100% right. However, because I'm a sex educator, what did bother me slightly, and again, this is just like personal opinion, is that he was trying to say that there's a stigma around mental health, which there is, but then layered it with a different stigma, which is that there's a stigma around sexual health. So I thought it was a bit of a weird example to use. I don't know what you would use instead, but I completely understand what he was trying to say, but I just think it didn't come through quite right, if that makes sense. I've written down how many chapters I have left so that I can circle them as I go along. I have never found an exercise in a self-help book that I have found to be helpful or that's not just really obvious and self-explanatory, but this one I absolutely love. It's called 54321, and if you want to find it yourself in the book, it's on page 72 and 73. It's been a really busy day. I've been doing work basically non-stop all day. Yeah, it's been a bit mad. It's now 10:30 and I'm gonna go for a bath, and I'm hoping that I can read the whole second half, or it's not even half, it's less than half of You'll Get Through This Night, to kind of finish that up, because I do actually need to do some more work after my bath and do some tidying up as well. So we're going to try and do that. I finished and I have thoughts, so I'm going to journal and talk about it properly tomorrow. But just so that we're on the same page, you can barely tell, but at the back there it says May Reads. This is my section where I pop the books that I've read during the month. So I can now add this beauty. Okay, I'm here to wrap up everything. So I actually gave You'll Get Through This Night 5 stars. I thought it was amazing, and I don't often read self-help books or like self-help books, but I thought this was really, really well written and also really valuable. So I journaled a whole bunch of thoughts. I only had a couple of critiques, which was that little comment about the sort of sexual health stigma which I mentioned earlier on. And then also in the section about food, I thought it was a bit strange that eating disorders weren't mentioned, but I do understand it is supposed to be focused on depression and anxiety, so I do kind of get that you can't touch all bases. But then again, also those two critiques, and there was another one but I couldn't remember it, so I don't think it's that important, but those two critiques are based on my lived experience. So I had an eating disorder for 7 years and I'm a sex educator, so obviously there I will go in with different expectations, which I do want to make clear, because I think our critiques can be very much based on our lived experience and the expectations that we have going in. So those are the critiques. And then there was so much that I loved about it, and I'm just going to list it, and obviously if you've read it you'll know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't read it, maybe these will be some reasons that you'll go and buy it. So I loved the commentary on social media, the accessibility of the format of the book, how there was like big quotes and diagrams and tables and things like that. It wasn't just loads of prose. There were pages, sort of like opening chapters, that felt like poetry or letters, and that was really nice because you don't often see that in self-help books. Oh yeah, he really like called out the bullshit that is the kind of school schedule, how, you know, we start school so early in the day and that we're actually not ready to learn at that point, which I thought was great. I love the commentary on the importance of sex and oxytocin. Obviously I'm a sex educator, so I love that, and also I am a birth worker, and we often promote the need for oxytocin during birth because it's all your good, happy, safe hormones. I love that it called out some of the harmful terminology that we often use in like modern language. That there were also physical symptoms that go along with the mental health stuff, which was great. Oh my god, I loved this. The feeling of grief can be experienced in so many ways, not just to do with losing a person. I loved that. That was great. The concept of toxic positivity and the conversations around that. And I just wanted to add that the epilogue made me cry. The last 2 paragraphs of the epilogue, I weeped, and then I literally just held the book because I was just like, oh my gosh, what an experience. But what I would like to say that I think is the most amazing thing overall is that I picked this up because I'm a fan of Dan, and I have been for the past 10 years, and obviously I'm 20, so that was literally from age like 10, 11 to being a 20-year-old. So that's like a huge difference. So I wanted to support whatever he was doing. That's why I pre-ordered the book. However, I would recommend this to anyone, whether they know who Dan is or not, because you don't need to know who he is. It's just an amazing self-help book for mental health. So it's amazing. Go and read it. And it's so strange to say that I'm really proud of Dan because he doesn't know who the hell I am. And he never will, and that's fine, but I genuinely am so proud of how far he's come, about his vulnerability in this book. He discusses things that he's never put out into the world before, and I think that takes some serious balls. Oh, beautiful. I could ramble on for the rest of the time, so I'm going to leave it here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will try to upload content a bit more regularly. Things got a bit crazy with uni, but yeah. See you next time.